Shane McConkey. McConkey was a legend in extreme skiing and was attempting a ski-based jump from the Sas Pordoy Mountain on March 26, 2009. Red Bull sponsored him, and he was filming with Matchstick Productions when everything went wrong. The concept was simple in theory, but incredibly dangerous in execution. He would ski off a cliff, do a double backflip in the air, release his skis using special bindings, deploy a wingsuit, and then parachute to safety. He had done variations of this stunt successfully many times before. On that day, after launching off the cliff and completing his double backflip, one of his skis failed to release from his boot. The ski that remained attached created drag and threw him into a violent spin. He struggled to get the ski off while tumbling through the air. By the time he freed himself from the ski, he had lost too much altitude and was spinning too fast to deploy his parachute properly. He may have never even pulled his pilot chute. His friend JT Holmes, who was with him in Italy and reviewed the footage afterward, confirmed the combination of the stuck ski, the bad spin, and the altitude loss left McConkey with no options. Italian emergency responders arrived within minutes of the impact, but Shane was already dead at the scene. McConkey left behind a wife and a 3-year-old daughter. Red Bull later released a documentary about his life titled Shane McConkey, You Have One Life, Live It, which drew criticism for appearing to glorify the dangerous lifestyle that had killed him. Ueli Gegenschatz. He was a 38-year-old Swiss-based jumper who had made over 1,500 jumps in his career. He was considered one of the best in the world at wingsuit flying and was a founding member of the Red Bull acrobatics team. On November 11, 2009, he was performing a base jump for Red Bull from the Sunrise Tower in Zurich, Switzerland. The tower stood 90 meters tall, about 300 feet. For an experienced jumper like Gegenschatz, this should have been a routine jump. He had jumped from far more dangerous locations, including the Eiffel Tower and the Petronas Towers, but on this day, conditions were not ideal. As Gegenschatz jumped from the tower, a gust of wind hit him. The wind caught his parachute and blew him off course. He tried to regain control, but the wind was too strong. He was blown toward the building and struck it with his legs. The impact caused him to lose control completely, and his parachute became asymmetrical. He crashed to the ground with tremendous force. Witnesses said he remained conscious after hitting the ground and reportedly apologized for failing the jump. He was rushed to the hospital with severe internal injuries. For 2 days, doctors fought to save his life, but the damage was too extensive. Ueli Gegenschatz died on November 13, 2009. His death was the third Red Bull-sponsored athlete to die that year, after Shane McConkey and Eli Thompson. The incident sparked major controversy in Switzerland, with critics calling Red Bull's sponsorship of such dangerous activities an unbearable symbol of the cynicism and perversion of event marketing. The deaths raised questions about whether Red Bull was encouraging athletes to take increasingly dangerous risks to create spectacular content for marketing purposes. Toriano Wilson. Toriano Wilson was only 14 years old. He was from Bermuda and had been racing motorcycles since he was 12. In 2008, he was selected to participate in the Red Bull AMA US Rookies Cup, an elite program that identified young racing talent and provided them with coaching from legends like former 500 GP world champion Kevin Schwantz. Being chosen for this program was every young racer's dream. On August 17, 2008, Wilson was racing at Virginia International Raceway. It was the opening lap of a Sunday morning race. He qualified in 8th place and was holding his position when something went wrong. He crashed and fell from his bike onto the track. In racing, when you fall, the standard procedure is to try to move out of the way as quickly as possible. Wilson was attempting to get off the track when another rider, Luciano Ribodino from Argentina, came around the corner at racing speed. Ribodino had no time to react. He struck Wilson with his motorcycle. The collision was catastrophic. Wilson was airlifted to the University of North Carolina Medical Center in Chapel Hill for emergency treatment. Despite the doctor's efforts, he was pronounced dead early Monday morning, August 18th. He had suffered injuries too severe to survive. The other rider, Ribodino, was transported to Duke Medical Center with a broken left arm and broken left femur. He survived, but had to live with the knowledge that he had accidentally killed a fellow racer, even though the accident was unavoidable. The Wilson's death shook the racing community. He was the youngest person to die in a Red Bull event, and his family held his funeral at the Southside racetrack in Bermuda, where over 100 people came to pay their respects. His father rode Toriano's bike around the track one final time as mourners watched and wept. Eli Thompson. On August 28, 2009, 36-year-old Thompson was in Lauterbrunnen, Switzerland, working on a special wingsuit base, jumping shoot for a new 3D movie with the Red Bull Air Force. Lauterbrunnen is known for its spectacular cliffs and is a popular location for base jumpers, though it's also known for being extremely dangerous. Thompson was performing a wingsuit proximity flight, jumping from a helicopter. In wingsuit flying, jumpers wear special suits that create surface area, allowing them to glide through the air at high speeds. Proximity flying means flying very close to terrain features like cliffs and mountainsides, creating dramatic footage but leaving almost no margin for error. On this jump, Thompson was flying along the side of a mountain when he hit it. The impact was fatal. Whether it was a gust of wind, a miscalculation, or equipment failure, nobody knows for certain. What is known is that in wingsuit proximity flying, even the smallest mistake can be deadly because jumpers are traveling at over 100 miles per hour, just feet away from solid rock. Thompson's death was the second Red Bull athlete to die in 2009, coming just months before Ueli Gegenschatz would die in Zurich. Michel Leusch was a 33-year-old South African pilot from Durban who had been crowned Intermediate World Aerobatic Champion in 2014. He was a permanent member of the Red Bull Firestars stunt team and was considered one of the most talented aerobatic pilots in the world. On August 27, 2016, Leusch was performing at the First Silk Road International General Aviation Convention at Zhangye Ganzhou Airport in China's Gansu province. He was flying an Extreme Air XA-42, performing aerobatic maneuvers for the crowd. The routine involved a series of rolling descending maneuvers, the kind of spectacular flying that made air shows exciting. During one of these maneuvers, Leusch entered a dive. The plane should have pulled out of the dive and climbed back into the sky. Instead, it continued descending. Witnesses watched in horror as the plane spiraled out of control and crashed into the Gobi Desert about 100 meters from the runway. The impact killed Leusch instantly. Investigators later tried to determine what went wrong. Whether it was mechanical failure, pilot error, or some combination of factors remains unclear. What is certain is that airshow flying is significantly more dangerous than competitive aerobatics. In competition, pilots work within strict parameters designed for safety. At airshows, the emphasis is on entertainment, and pilots are more likely to push boundaries to thrill crowds. The Silver Falcons flew a missing man formation at the Bethlehem Airshow that same day in South Africa, a traditional aerial salute where the middle plane falls out of formation to honor a fallen pilot. Eigo Sato was 34 years old and one of the most respected freestyle motocross riders in the world. The Japanese rider had been the first from his country to land a backflip on a dirt bike and had finished third overall in the 2009 Red Bull X Fighters Tour. On February 28, 2013, Sato was training near his home in Iwaki City, Japan, preparing for the upcoming 2013 Red Bull X Fighters World Tour. He was working on backflips, one of the most dangerous tricks in freestyle motocross. The backflip requires perfect timing and execution. Launch off the ramp, rotate backward, through the air, and land on the bike's wheels. Too little rotation and you land on your head, too much rotation and you flip over the handlebars. On this training run, Sato under-rotated his backflip. He didn't complete enough of the rotation and came down wrong. The crash was severe. He was transported to the hospital, but the injuries were too serious. Sato passed away from his injuries, leaving behind his wife and 2 young children. The FMX community was devastated. Fellow riders described Sato as one of the friendliest people they had ever met. He had been instrumental in promoting the X Fighters Tour coming to Japan for the first time, and he had dreamed of seeing that event happen in his home country. That event did happen in Osaka several months after his death, but Sato never got to see it. His fellow riders dedicated their performances to his memory. A memorial service in Tokyo drew over 500 people, each taking a flower to place at an altar in front of Sato's image and motorcycle. The FMX world had lost not just a great rider, but a genuinely good person who had made the sport better simply by being part of it. Did you enjoy this breakdown? Then please hit the bell button so you get notified when a new video is posted.